In this video, we're going to use ActionScript to create some simple motion with movie clips. All right, so we have a ball. All right, so I drew a simple ball, and then I created a movie clip, and I gave an instant name of blue ball. But also, when I created this movie clip, I gave it the ActionScript linkage of blue ball also. So we have instant name and we have a ActionScript name. And if you watch our previous videos on adding events and adding properties to movie clips, then you know that we can use two different ways to use ActionScript when we name this through our linkage. So this I use the instant name, and we have an event listener. And this is when we have the enter frame event. So when ActionScript, when the Flash runs the timeline, as it enters this frame, it'll create an event, and the event is going to be this ball move function will run, and the ball, wherever we place it, will start at that point, and its x axis will add 5. So I'll start and add something, a new distance equal to 5. And that's a horizontal distance because it's just the x position. So we can go ahead and we'll hit control and we'll test our movie. And you'll see that our ball started in the position it was sitting, and it added 5 as it runs the frame. So we got 24 frames per second, and it goes over 5 places, but then it disappears. So we created this this animation to run. So we had a movie clip, and we had it run across in the X position. Now we can also see there's nothing on this stage. So we use our ActionScript linkage, blue ball, and we create a variable, my blue ball. We just name it my blue ball using that ActionScript. So my blue ball now represents, it's an instant of the blue ball library object, and we have a new blue ball, and then you have its position will start at 50 at the X position. So it starts at 0 and goes across, so 50 somewhere around here. And the Y position starts at 0 and goes and adds and goes down 50. So we have our X and Y position for blue ball. Its registration point, which is the center point on this ball, will be 50, 50, and we add it to the stage. So we add child, my blue ball, which is the variable instance of blue ball. Now we have an event that takes place on this instant, and then we have the same thing. We have an enter frame, right? So when we have an event, we're going to move this ball. So our function, we call it move ball, and this event begins from nothing. So we added our ball, and now it's going to go across, and it's going to add 2 pixels across on the horizontal for every time we do this. So we go to control, test movie, and all right, it looks very similar. So this is 50-50. It started, it put it there, and the ball went across. Now, other things we can do to this is we can obviously also add, all right, I can copy this, and copy, and enter, and paste, and add our Y variable, control, test movie, and you'll see that it adds X and Y, 2 across, going at these positions. We can also enter it, we had a 50-50, we can add it to 150, 150, control, test movie. So we can have any position we want the ball to start in. So now it starts down here. We could also move this from a positive direction to minus X minus Y, control, test movie, and flash, and it will go in the, now this negative means it's going to the left, and negative means it's going, negative Y means it's going up. So we can have the left and up, or we can have this positive and up. Control, test movie, flash. So we can pick any direction with our positive and negatives. Now we start here, so we have our ball just so we see. And we have we can add two functions. So we can have our ball move function where we have our plus 5 and plus 5 that we had before. Right, so whatever position we start the ball at, it'll go over 5 and down 5 in the same instance. But we can also check our boundaries, and we can have our position start. So with this one here, our check boundaries function, which will start up here with our ball wrap, which is listen on enter frame. All right, starts, and what we're going to do here is we're going to check our stage width. So if the ball's X position is greater than the stage width, then it returns all the way to 0 over here. So if the X position is greater than the width, which is all the way over here, then it will return all the way to 0. And if the X position is less than 0, then it will return all the way to the other side. The same with Y. So if Y becomes greater than the stage height, it returns to Y0, which is all the way on top. Or if it is if the Y is less than 0, then it will end up all the way over here at the stage. So let's take a control, test movie, flash. We'll see when the ball gets down here, all of a sudden it appears up there or appears over here, because as it gets over to the width of the stage, it then goes to 0, or if it gets all the way down to the height of the stage, it goes to 0 up top. So this allows the ball to wrap around. Something else we can do is we can have this. We have our blue ball .dx, our displacement x is equal to 5. So that means it moves the same thing. We had said our position x, and then we had plus, meaning it changes. So d means it changes, and it changes the position of either positive 5 or negative 5. So it's similar to saying that we have a plus. So we use the d instead of we have the plus here. So we have a change of 5. All right, and we have our plus equals our dx, our change of 5, and we have our plus equals our dy, our change of 5. So this is the same as saying our x and our y, but something we can also do here is that we can create, if something happens, we hit the stage width, then you can have your dx equals 0, which means the ball stops. So your plus or equal to 0 means that your displacement is no longer 5 or a difference of 5, but it actually is 0. So we can go ahead and we have the same thing. So when it hits the sides, it'll actually stop. So we'll have control, test movie, in flash, and you see it stops when it hits this. Now our registration point is in the center point. So instead of having our stop at the width when the center point registration gets in there, a way we could get around this, so I'll extend this out a little bit. So what we do here, all right, so we have our displacement 5, and we have our event listener, which we call ball wrap, and that has our move, which is the same as the last one, except we have these variables representing our 5. And we have the variables because then we can change our variables as to 0 when something happens, our check boundaries. So we have our if the ball x position is greater than the stage width minus half of the ball width. All right, so we have the stage width minus half of the ball width, and that means our registration point, if it's center point, then that means that's half. The center point is half the radius, or is the radius, or half the diameter. So that's the same as half the ball width. So we have the stage width minus half the ball width. And the same thing here with our 0 position is taking with the ball width, and the height of the ball is the same as saying the radius of the ball for both of these. So then that way, control test movie, instead of the ball anchoring into it, all right, half the width of the ball is this distance. So here's the stage height minus half of the height of the ball. And I could just easily, since this is, I could easily move this over so that we can see what happens if I drag it over here and then control test movie. You'll see this is half the width of the ball. So we have the stage width, and when it gets half the width of the ball and it touches it, it stops. And we can have this happen in all directions. So this way it allows the ball to actually stick to the walls or stop at the walls instead of wrapping around it or going through the walls. All right, so this was our code for that. It's the same as the one before, except when we reach this point, our displacement becomes 0 instead of being a displacement of 5. So it changes our how much our displacement is. Something else we can do is the ball bounce. So we have our same dx, dy, right? So our displacements. We have our same listener event that when the ball starts, we have our new function is ball bounce. We have our same ball move function that is our plus our dx or plus our dy. And now our check boundaries is what's going to happen is we have still our blue ball when it's the stage width minus the width or half the width of the blue ball. Our dx becomes negative blue ball dx. So that means it changes directions, right? So our positive becomes negative, positive becomes negative, positive becomes negative. And even if it's negative, negative becomes a double negative, which makes it positive again. So let's do control, test movie. We'll see how this goes. All right, so now it comes down here and it hits. And once again, by using half of the diameter, or half the height, or half the width of the ball, it makes it look like the ball is actually bouncing off the edges. And every time it encounters the edges, the width or 0, its position changes its dx dy. So the position it has in relationship to the stage width and the stage height and the 0 position and the of x and the 0 position of y, this allows the displacement to change from positive to negative, and then a negative negative makes it positive again, so it continually changes back and forth. And the last thing I'm going to show you, this is all of these came from these are all modified in ActionScript 3.0, and they all came from Andy Harris's Flash Programming for Dummies. And the last one we have is we have a cursor. All right, so we have a little cursor that exists on the stage, a little star that I created, and we're going to hide our mouse. So we have our mouse, which you see me moving around here, and on enter frame, we're going to have the star x and y position equal to where the mouse x and y position, and then we're going to have the star mouse enabled equal false, which means you can use that to click on things. So control test movie in Flash. What you'll see happen here is our hide mouse made the mouse disappear, and where this mouse is where the star x and y position is. So I get to move the star around, or it could be like crosshairs for a gun that could fire all the rest of it. So my little mouse arrow disappears when I get on the stage, and the star is following around where the mouse cursor is. So we had our mouse hide, and then what happens is when it enters the frame, the star x position will equal the mouse x position, and the star y position will equal the mouse y position. And those are some simple game programming scripts in short chunks, and we can use these to build more complex games.